Boom, this is the man, the myth, the legend, Jack Evans from the heavens. And I would just like to inform you that you have been counted out with Mike and Tyler. Boom! And you know this, man.
Well, we are live, pals, and welcome to another edition of the Bill Apter Sealed of Approve, Counted Out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler, and this time we are joined by an old friend. He is one of the fastest rising stars in the Ontario independent scene, dare I even say the North American independent scene at this rate. He is part of Jom Cornetts' favorite tag team, Fresh Air. Of course, I'm talking about your boy and mine, the Hotstepper Macrae Martin is back. What's going on, buddy? Did I get you with that one?
Oh man, I was like, Randy's like, okay, here comes the hot, and then you threw me off. That was so fun. Oh my god.
Well, let's talk about it. First of all, congratulations on a fantastic year that you've had. The year 2023, man. I feel like it was, I want to say your coming out party. You know, you were kind of making waves 2022 and 2023. I think you kind of put your stamp on the wrestling world, man. Fresh Air making the PWI 500 or 100 top tag teams of the year. An incredible feat, number 61, I believe. Is that where you guys
61,
were?
yeah.
That's fantastic, man. How does that feel seeing that in one of the most legendary magazines of all time?
Uh, it's it's a very surreal feeling. I know everyone has their own opinion of the PWI lists. There is a lot of controversy with it. There are people who don't get seen. At the end of the day, for me, I know that it's exposure. And that's what Junior and I have really strived for this year is to get that exposure, which is why, we went to Europe and wrestled in 4 different countries. And that's why we've tried to make a name for ourselves in the States and in Canada. And so to be recognized for all that work that we put in, like that's what I care about. And, you know, I will say I saw some of the tag teams beneath us and I smirked a little bit. Two of them being our trainers, Evil Uno and Sue Grayson. Just saying. I don't know what
little
that means.
little humble brags going on around
I
the
don't know what
school,
that means.
maybe.
Yeah. But it was really cool. And it was also cool to see like everyone reaching out saying, congratulations, like you guys deserve this. This is awesome. And that really warmed my heart. So I'm very grateful that we got on the list.
So I gotta ask you made the list and then you made Jom Cornetts podcast, which it's pretty cool in itself that Jom Cornette's talking about you. We were not happy with the words that Mr. Cornett had to say. Mike went on a big rant on our social media page where we had a couple people reach
Yeah, I
out.
saw.
Yeah, and they're like, what Cornett do to piss you guys off? We're like, you don't fuck with the hot stepper, my friend. We don't put
Yeah.
up with that shit. Him and Junior are good guys, but what was that like hearing an attempted pronunciation of your name on the Jom Cornette podcast?
Honestly, that was the funniest thing. So what do you think of Fresh Air? Junior Benito and Mac Ray Martin. As soon as I heard that, that was hilarious. And Jom Cornette saying that, who thinks this name is good? Who thinks this shit is good? Who books this? Who books these people? I thought was quite funny. Uh, I was just amused by it. And again, same thing, exposure. You know, hundreds of thousands of people listen to the Cornetts podcast. Whether you like him or not, it's more people who hear our name, and so I'm grateful for that. His opinion of us, well, I've heard what he said about our trainers, and I just think that anyone down that lineage he's just not gonna like. So we're just fine. We're just fine. Fresh air is not everyone's cup of tea. But I didn't lose sleep over it, but I got a lot of laughs out of the Macrae Martin.
Yeah, I popped at that too. Our mutual friend Jonah sent me that clip because I don't listen to Cornette stuff because I love Cornette as the performer, but his podcast isn't my cup of tea. But Jonah sent me that, and I was like, what the hell? That's fucking funny, man.
Oh, I got sent that by so many people. It was hilarious. And then good friends of us, Miracle Gen, they kind of got the same negative response to their name and their tag team. So we kind of bonded over being Jim Cornette's favorite tag teams.
That's fantastic. The common denominator I heard coming out of that was, well, he's clearly never seen them work, and that is very true because not only are you guys fantastic to have inside the ring, but I can credit this from working with you behind the scenes as well. You guys are an asset to any locker room as well, and I've been very privileged to get to call, in my opinion, one of the best matches in Barrie Wrestling this year. And I'm going to knock Barrie Wrestling for not nominating it in the Match of the Year category because I got to send in my nominations for it as part of our little committee, and Young Jay Lee and the Hotstepper was on my list for Barrie Wrestling Match of the Year.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to hopefully seeing you back up in Barrie sometime. What do you remember about that match with Young Jay Lee, man? That was a banger you guys had.
Yeah, that man, I was really happy with that match, especially because it was roughly a year. I think it was just over a year after our first match at Barrie. I think we've only had the two singles matches in our careers,
Oh
both at
wow.
Barrie. And so it was really clear to see how much we grew as performers. Like that was before that it was before Young Jay Lee won the Three Pistols championship. And then, later that year in 2022, he won it to then carry it over, have the longest reign in history. And, that match was really special because it was clear that we had both stepped our games up. I didn't appreciate the Gwitty that he did in the Wrestling wing as he told Jeff to call. um, but no, that was a really good match, and I've looked over my match list for this year, and I've separated into singles and tag team because I feel like I can't do both, but myself versus Myeon Jae Lee definitely in my top 10 for singles matches this year.
Absolutely. And I know a match that meant a great deal to you personally as well happened in C4 wrestling. And you got to get back in the ring with the worst dancer in the Ontario independent scene, Josh Alexander. I watched that match on IWTV. I think I messaged you after I saw it and just said that was fantastic. I know that one meant a lot to you personally because when we first talked many years ago now, you kind of mentioned that that was like a do-over you wanted because you got Josh really early in your career and it was kind of like, let me show you what I can do now type of thing. Looking back and reflecting on it, what are your thoughts on the match? And are you, kind of happy with the overall thing? Did you get any comments from Josh after it about anything?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I I look at that. I personally, long story short, I'm not happy with the match, and that's
Really?
nothing to do. Yes, and that's nothing to do with Josh, and that's nothing to do with my performance in it. My There was stuff going on in my personal life that just I was not in the right headspace for it, and part of my problem was because I felt like I needed a win, just in life, like I put a lot of pressure on myself to make this match perfect. And Josh is someone who I've always looked up to, respected, and want to impress. I want him to see me as someone who can help carry the lineage that he has in terms of making the Canadian scene relevant and breaking out into the American independence. I want to be considered by him to be one of those guys who can carry it through. And just what was going on in my personal life, I was not in the right headspace. I forgot to take my inhalers because I'm asthmatic, and so very early in the match I got blown up and I felt like I was constantly trying to like get myself back into the match. In terms of technical wise and execution wise, I think the match is great. I think we put on a really good performance. I just now I want a do over of the do over. So I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna remember to take my inhalers. I'm going to be in a good headspace, and I know that we'll have a good match. And yeah, I think that was really it. And his feedback to me was like I think because there were parts where I could have been faster between spots was his main thing, just because I think he didn't know at the time that I forgot to take my inhalers. I didn't even realize I didn't take them until afterwards. Uh, but there was things I could have taken the match from this to this. And just like small things. But he did say like he was happy with it. He gave me a nice compliment over Messenger because we talked afterwards. But yeah, so I'm both happy. I'm happy about the match, but I'm also like again in my head like I just want it one more time because I know it could be better, and I just want to be in like I want it to be like my best version of me type
I
thing.
get that. I get that. We're coming close to our 200th episode of Count It Out, and I hate every performance that I ever do. So like but from
Biggest
someone
critic.
100%, right? But from someone who watched you guys match from the outside looking in, I mean, you guys tore the house down as far as I'm concerned. It was a fantastic match. So I get where you're coming from in that regard, though. Like you want to up your game, but like watching it,
Yeah.
it was like, damn, like how are you going to up that? Because that was a banger, man. So good luck to you, man, because that's
Well,
setting a
thank
high
you.
bar. You had another big match too. I want to talk about, and this one is really cool, kind of for me too, because it's kind of like that full circle moment, right? And of course, I'm talking about with Fandango. You
Yes.
got to work Fandango, and of course, a good friend of mine and yours now as well, Jonah, who does the R3 podcast, paired you guys up together. You did the interview together. I know that you'd met before that, and then you get in the ring with him. Like, how cool was that? Can you kind of take us and Fandango obviously probably remembered you, right? I know you guys have crossed paths a few times. So do you guys have like kind
Mhm.
of a chuckle, like this is cool that we've come full circle?
Yeah, we did. It was very much that like full circle moment, as you said, go from Count It Out to then going to the R3 podcast to then meeting him at an indie show, and then like a year and a half later, we're wrestling at one of my home promotions. So it is cool to have. So I don't think I've had a full circle moment like that in wrestling, besides like I guess the Josh story. But this one really was like it was one of those things where I knew it was gonna happen, but I also didn't think it was gonna happen. I'm very much of the mindset that or like when I go into things, like I always think I'm not gonna get it or it's not actually happening. And I think maybe that's a bit of a defense mechanism in terms of, oh, if it doesn't happen, then I'm not disappointed. So I even the day of the show, I'm like, man, this match isn't happening. It's like get to the venue. I see him go out of his car and he's like, hey, Hotstepper. I'm like, hey, Dango. I'm like, this match still is not happening. And then they're like testing the music and they're playing his music. Like, this match isn't happening. I was like, it's like something in the universe, like this match isn't happening. And then it wasn't until he did like a meet and greet before the show. He gets upstairs and he walks into the locker room, and the first thing he says to me, he goes, "Hey, Osepper, you do a moonsault off the stage, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "Okay, cool," and then walks away. And I just look around. I'm like, "Okay, I think this match is happening."
That's awesome.
um, but yeah, and again, and actually to add on to the full circle moment, that was the first time that I had shared the ring with someone that I watched growing up. So I got into wrestling uh around in 2011. So it was it was Johnny Curtis and then it was just before he transitioned to the Fandango character. And so and as a dancing character, I looked up to him in terms of okay, how can I take wrestling and put into a dancing context? And then on top of that, when it was towards his latter years with the company and just before he got released, where he had reinvented himself. I also looked at that as motivation of how to reinvent myself to now no longer be pigeonholed into this comedy character. So that was another cool moment, and I'd say I got a little emotional. Like I wasn't crying, but like that feeling where like you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
cry, but you feel like yeah,
Man
that's kind of
tears. I call them man tears.
the
Yeah.
man tears. I'm gonna gonna quote that.
Yeah, you can have
Man
that one.
tears. Thank you. And so like I cut a promo afterwards in the ring. And I told him I was like, hey man, like I meant every word. Like this is a moment that I didn't think would ever happen. And like this is something that I couldn't have asked for. And so I'm very grateful that I got to do this with you. And he was very happy and appreciative. I was also happy like he did a lot for me in that match because he was hurt he like his hip was all like jacked up and everything, but he still gave me 100% of his effort, and that is something I also appreciated. Like, 'cause he didn't have to do that, and the fact that he did meant a lot to me as well.
That's like a nice sign of respect on his end as well. That's really cool, man. I'm happy to hear that. I remember when I saw the match announced, I had one of those like no way moments, like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was marking out. I was like, and I again like because I like you a lot, man. You're one of the good guys. You know what I mean? You've always been nice and respectful to us. So to see the good things happening to the good people, that's what makes me happy over here, right?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, man.
Well, and you were also part of one of my personal favorite moments of the year from watching wrestling when I was sitting in the front row at GCW, and all of a sudden, here comes my boy, the hot stepper, coming out. I was sitting there with Mike, and we're like, "No way!" Like, run me through the day. How did you end up in a GCW ring? And tell me that experience for you. What it was like in there?
Oh man, I almost forgot that that was this year because it was so long
That's
ago.
crazy, man. You had a big year,
Uh,
man.
yeah. So I was already in Toronto because I had a show the Friday and the Saturday, and the week before was the IWS versus GCW show where Junior and I wrestled East West Express, Nick Wayne and Jordan Oliver. And so IWS was also helping them with the Toronto show, like providing the ring and doing all that. So I was like, oh well, I'm in Toronto already. I might as well go and set up the ring. And I actually was like, I'm probably not gonna wrestle, even if I get asked, because my I had hurt my ribs earlier that week, whereas like I couldn't breathe, I couldn't like it hurt to move. Like I did the Friday Saturday shows. I get backstage, I'm like,
Yeah.
but then and then all of a sudden my former trainer Shane Hawk, he's there. He goes, "Hey McCrae, do you have your gear?" I'm like, "Oh, there's no way this is happening." And he's like, "Grab your gear," and I'm like, "Well, there goes that." I didn't think I was actually gonna wrestle at GCW. So yeah, so then because it was like it was the 6-man tag, and Brett had asked Shane like, "Hey, is there someone that you could tag with that's here?" And he goes, "Hotstepper." So and we were C4 tag champions at the time too, so that was a nice little thing that we got to plug for them as well. And yeah, so we I got to wrestle at GCW, and that was a cool thing too, because I heard the audible difference because Shane Hawk, Giordano, Matt Viviani, those guys, they don't really wrestle out in the Toronto area, but I do. So having them come out for then me to follow and just to hear the silence to then, oh my God, it's McCrae. That
Yeah.
that was like that was a cool moment for me of like, oh man, and then like looking out in the crowd, like I see like Travis Moore, I see Van Landen, I see Wade Allen, like I see all these guys who like I see some of the Keep kids too because they came for that show. Um, I saw you obviously, as you said, like you're seeing all those people is like this is a cool moment, and then on top of that, getting a pin over Tony Deppen,
Right?
former Ring of Honor television champion, like that's pretty cool. That was a cool like, oh yeah, I did that. That's right.
Think we got a shot to see the hot stepper back in a GCW ring at any time in the future?
Oh, I definitely feel like 2024. I think you're gonna see fresh air in a
Oh,
GCW ring for
I would
sure.
love that. That's fantastic.
We're
That was
gonna make
such
we're gonna make it happen.
like that was such cool vibes because like you said, you look out in the crowd, like I was standing beside Van Landen and Travis Moore was right behind me. But when you came out, it was a cool moment for me because like obviously I was excited that I saw you come out, but then I look right in front of me and Danny's there with Alan's team filming the event. And
That's right. Yes,
Brad Myers is the referee for
was
your
the ref.
match. And I took this great picture, and I'll have to send it to you when we're done here. I took this great picture of you, Brad, and Danny are all in the picture in the GCW ring. And to me,
Oh, that's awesome.
I was just so happy. You know what I mean? Like you could just feel like we all had such love for what was going on in the ring there.
Mm.
That was a cool moment for me.
And there's also Adam Belanger, he does the commentary for C4 and NSPW. He called the match, so
Oh,
it was like an Ontario special
that's
at GCW.
fantastic. I love that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a cool night for sure, man. That was a really cool night. Something cool that you got to do as well, man. You hit up Europe. The Hotstepper went overseas. How was that experience? You got a good crew that went over there. That was your first time wrestling over there, if I'm not mistaken.
It was my first time. It was my second time there, but yeah, my first time wrestling. Because the first trip, oh, excuse me, the first trip, Junior and I, we were like last minute replacements for people who had dropped out of the trip. So we really just got to train and network, which was great because
Mm.
then that parlayed that into this trip where I got to wrestle 6 times over the 4 week period I was there, and it was amazing. I started off with I did the weekend seminar with OTT in Ireland, and I got to reconnect with friends who I'd met a few years ago when they came to Canada. I got to meet new people from all over the world because everyone comes to the contenders camp. And then I got to wrestle for OTT, one of the biggest promotions in the world. Like that was super cool. And then yeah, just getting to hang out with Fuerza, Alexia Nicole Jr., just us, traveling and getting to wrestle in all these different places, going to sightsee all these different cool historic places. It was one of the best trips of my life, and like I will cherish those times like forever.
That's fantastic. And hopefully we get to see more of that travel in the new year for you too, man.
Oh, I think we're gonna try and make it like a yearly thing.
Nice.
So I mean, we'll eventually get to the point where Vaughn Vertigo are going like 6 times a year.
Yeah, yeah. He basically lives over there now, so
It's like a second home. Like his last tour, he was ridiculously busy. Like he had 11 different, he had like 6 different countries, 11 different shows. Like the man was everywhere.
So there's a really funny story with there's a great podcast over the overseas. It's called the HCW Wrestling Show and Reviews.
Hmm.
And they like review independent wrestling stuff over there. Myself, I've been on their show before, but they
Oh, nice.
were reviewing like a IWTV scroll, and they're like, "Oh, Barry Wrestling. There's a Barry in England. I guess this must be Von Vertigo's on the card. This must be a European event." So they watched the
Oh,
show. They got halfway through the show before they realized that we're from Canada, but they love Barry Wrestling. They love the event because they saw Vaughn's name, put two and two together. And now they review Barry Wrestling every month, and we all jump on and kind of do the review with them. So, like, I thought that was cool that Vaughn's name got that recognition
wow.
already. So, yeah, that's the fun little story with those guys.
And that's also cool. It's cool that like it's like Vaughn having done it for so many years, like it opened the door for us.
Hmm.
And now it's opened the door for you. And I think that's what's cool as more and more people do it, like we're just gonna branch out and like make Barry like a globally known thing or make T4 a
100%.
globally known thing. And we've encouraged people seeing us come to the UK and Europe. Now it's encouraging other people to come to Canada and do tours. And so it's really cool that like that the effects that has from people from us like doing all this travel and everything through wrestling.
Absolutely. I always tell people that Ontario has, especially the Ontario area, like we have the unplucked gems of the wrestling world right now,
Mhm.
And you just named that whole European tour that you went on, you, Junior, Alexia, Fuerza, Vaughn, guys like Johnny DeLuca, like young up and
Yes.
comers like Van Landen, like it's insane the talent. Like we're spoiled over here. Mark
Hmm.
Wheeler, like
100%.
Jesse
Oh
V,
yeah.
like it's insane. It's absolutely insane. It's like the all-star team, It's like the dream
Mhm.
team for our independent wrestling over here. And I love seeing you guys finally get that recognition, taking these steps. Like the sky's the limit for everyone over here, man. You guys are killing it. You're making us all
Thanks,
proud.
man. I appreciate that, man. Thank
And
you. That's all I want to do.
well, that's it. And you are. And like I said though, it's not only the success that you guys are having, but you guys represent us perfectly. It's like you guys
Mhm.
are great human beings. And when you're over there, like you said, Vaughn did such a great job over there. It opened the door for you and for Fuerza, and you guys are doing the same thing over there. And it's going to keep opening those doors, and it's just going to be that
Mhm.
circle, right? But that's awesome, man. We're so happy for you guys. And I was really happy to see you pop up on Ring of Honor television with AEW. That was pretty cool. In there with Rip Impact as well, who I have the utmost respect for. Kind of run me through your day. What was a day at AEW TV like?
It was it was pretty interesting. Just because I'm doing extra work, and I'd heard from people who had done it with WWE that it's like very strict and very militant in terms of, okay, you stand here, wait till we call you type thing. And I think with AEW, it's a lot less micromanaged. I wouldn't say more relaxed. It is, but I'd say just less micromanaged. So we were there for 2 days. The first day, I don't think the extras really got to do anything. We were seat fillers. So just for the side for hard cam, just making sure that there's no empty seats. So visually it looks more packed than it is. Uh, which is not uncommon. That's WWE does the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we get there, they explain, okay, here are the rules. We're gonna have you guys just chill in the TV viewing area, and then when we need you, we'll come grab you. And then if you're during the show, if we don't need you to seat fill, you could just stay back and watch the show, have some catering. The catering, oh, so good. They have a
I've
brisket that was
heard.
amazing.
Oh yeah, eh? I'm a big
Yeah,
fan of I like a good brisket. I'm more of a pulled pork guy if I had to choose, but I like a good brisket. I respect a
it,
good
it was a
brisket.
very good brisket. And then yeah, the first day we also all got geared up and we took promo pictures with
Nice.
Speedy, who amazing photographer. His like if you haven't seen his work, like people watching and listening, you haven't seen his work. He is Brainbuster on Instagram or Speedy.photo. Absolutely fantastic. And then they got used for people who got to have matches that were used as graphics. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then the second day, we it was when I was told it was when we were doing the Ring of Honor tapings, and Stu Grayson came up to me and was like, "Hey, I got a spot for you. You're gonna be in a six man with me and the Righteous." Like, oh, sweet. And so we're just waiting to find out where that's happening and everything, and then they come back. We plan the match, which was shake hands, we blast you, and then we hit our finish on rip. And I was like, okay, cool.
Easy peasy.
Originally we did have longer, and even planned like a full hot comeback from me, and it was going to lead into me doing a dive where Butch catches me or Dutch catches me and absolutely obliterates me, which I was really excited for. But just with TV, it's you gotta if there's time restraints, there is like or like timings get cut all the time. But they were super apologetic. They're like, "Hey guys, we're really sorry that we had to cut your time." And I'm like, "Hey, like, our purpose here is to enhance your talent, and like, I'm not here to get my stuff in. The fact that I have a Ring of Honor graphic and my name is mentioned on Ring of Honor, to me, that is enough in itself. Because I also know that there's going to be a day where I get to Ring of Honor on my own accord, at not as an extra, but as a talent.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like for me, it's like that's the first step. It's the first step, and we're only gonna go up from there.
I love that, man. I love that mind frame as well. So they've got a loaded locker room, AEW / Ring of Honor. Did you get a chance to pick any brains back there? Did you get a chance to talk to anybody and ask any questions? Was anyone helpful with you?
I didn't really get to pick brains as much. I did get to say hi to a lot of people who I'd met previously. Daddy Magic and Angela Parker, they used to help train me when they were at IWS. And so I got to see them, and that was really nice. House of Black, I had done a seminar with them in Super Kicked, and I got to see Malachi, and that was cool. Ethan Page, obviously, like, Hamilton homeboy. MJF, I knew from I he stayed at my house when he did a C4 show a few years back. Obviously Uno and Stu. Well, actually, after the first day, we went back to the hotel with Uno. We were there in like their little lounge area with like Uno, Orange Cassidy, Mark, not Mark. I almost said Mark Wheeler Yuta, and a few other people, which was cool. And yeah, then also just getting to talk to Vincent and Dutch of the Righteous, super awesome human beings. I can't say enough nice things about them. Oh, Adam Cole too, which I know we're gonna be talking about later. Adam Cole, he and I were just talking, watching the show. So that was also a cool thing of like I'm sitting talking to Adam Cole. Like, what is
Yeah,
my life right now?
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, man. Before we talk about the year end stuff here, I gotta ask you, what are the goals coming into next year now? Because in my opinion, you had a breakout year this year. You did a lot of cool stuff. You had a lot of firsts. You've got that taste in your mouth now. So what's like the big goal that you want to work towards for the new year in your career?
Man, it's hard to say because I did not think 2023 was gonna be as good as it was. I've kind of been in the mindset of just, working small, like starting off small and working my way up. And I was thinking, oh, I'll break out in the States a little bit more. I'll get to work a lot of the Northeast guys. Like that was kind of my priority, which then led to I got to wrestle Josh again. I got to wrestle the Rascals. I got to wrestle Fandango. I got to wrestle Jordan Oliver, Nick Wayne. Like all these things just happened. I won 6 different championships. Like all these things that happened that I wouldn't have expected otherwise. So I think I want to keep on the same path as I have for 2024 in terms of keep keeping my that same pace up of getting close to 100 matches or wrestling 100 matches, doing my best work in Canada and the Northeast and the States. I would like to go out west. I like to do like the Pacific Northwest, like BC, California would be cool. I would like to do some extra work for Impact. And hopefully, you know, maybe there's an extra spot on an Impact show when they come to Toronto. Maybe that would be a cool opportunity for Junior and myself. Um, and if everything goes according to plan, maybe there'll be another trip to the UK or maybe Japan. Japan is a goal of mine. So whether that's this year or maybe the start of 2025, we'll see. But that's kind of where my mind is right now, just like keeping that same trajectory, keep going up and seeing what sprouts out of that.
I love that, man. And I'll tell you that one of my goals for the year 2024 is to announce you coming down to the ring again. Be nice, maybe a little fresh air. I wouldn't mind checking that one off the bucket list because I haven't got to announce Junior yet. So, Sean Gibson, we got some new tag
Sean,
team champions up in Barrie, the royal family there with Kyle and Shiloh. I think they need an attitude adjustment, and fresh air
yeah,
might just be the recipe we're looking for.
they need a breath of fresh air.
Oh, I like that. I
Yeah.
see what you did there.
I will give Sean his credit. And I love Sean. I love Barry. I love it. Like that's the thing. Like, I love everything about Barry Wrestling. The locker room, the people, the fans, everything. But just the scheduling has just not been on our side. Like Junior and I have always been busy. And shout out to Sean for like sending him all of our dates. And we're like, we can't. But I will say in 2024, we did find some openings. I'm not gonna spoil when, but we did find some openings. So I'm very excited to say that Junior and I will be back in a Barry ring next year. And I can't wait to be back.
I'm pumped up for that. I'm gonna start stretching out now so I can get my Jimmy
Yeah.
legs ready when your music hits. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I might try to jump in for a little spinaroonie there with you when I'm done announcing you.
Oh, I'll pull down the ropes for you. You're more than welcome in that ring.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Dude, I can't thank you enough for taking some time and hanging out with us today. It was great to catch up with you. I look forward to what the year 2024 has to bring for you, man. The sky is the limit. Keep doing what you're doing. Before we sign off, you got anything you want to plug, anything you want to put out there for the world to hear?
Yes. So for those who are subscribers to IWTV, you can catch myself and Junior Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on IWTV because we are at Restival in Worcester, Massachusetts. We're wrestling for Pizza Party, ISW versus Sean Henderson presents. Expect the unexpected wrestling, Rad Pro Wrestling, and Beyond Wrestling, and you get a big breath of fresh air on IWTV.
I love that, man. Dude, this has been a pleasure. Like I said, it was great to catch up, man. And maybe we'll be seeing you up in Barrie soon. Who knows?
Ooh. Thank you for having me, Tyler. Always love coming on.
Of course, man. On behalf of the man who's on fire right now, the Hotstepper Macrae Martin, as we said, Jom Cornetts' favorite tag team, you have been counted out.